fresh baked loaves, still warm from the oven.
I need
Close up the stand early today, Mama?
I'm afraid not.
Chops and steaks fit for a Jarl.
Fruit has about another day left.
If you're heading east, steer clear of Hilgur's tomb. Think about those old crypts. The dead having
what you
trouble
always
staying
say.
that way.
Because it's always true.
Go to the tavern for supper?
For only through your grace and benevolence may we truly reach enlightenment and deserve our praise.
My favorite drinking buddy. Let's get some.
Ere you ascended, and the 8 became 9, you walked among us, great Talos, not as God, but as man.
I ain't done nothing.
And as man, you said, let me show you the power of Talos, Stormcrown, born of the North, and I dread long winter. I breathe now.
Got a lot of steel to shape. Gods be praised.
away your strength. But what of tomorrow? What then? Do the elves take you?
I work for Bellathor at the General Goods Store.
Thoring runs the inn. Speak to him.
Come to Dawnstar at a strange time, friend. Seems everyone in the town is having nightmares. You should talk to Rustleaf. Get some proper steel.
Divine's sake, Skald. Who do you think we're threatening with our old war wounds? We're not soldiers anymore.
Your man Horik is wearing his old Legion armor. What should I make of that?
He's proud of his service, Skald. The Legion taught us loyalty, and we're loyal to Dawnstar.
This isn't over. I catch you sending one letter to General Tullius. I'll have you both executed.
Are you alright? You seem tired.
I'm fine, Horik. Are you worried about this war?
No. If we must fight, we will. And you will lead us to victory, as you always have.
With you by my side. Is that right, Horik?
Of course. I would have it no other way.
So much for old soldiers settling down to a life of luxury, eh?
My duty is to guard Brina Merilis.
Disrespect the law, and you disrespect me.
We won't give up this port to the Imperials without a fight. Don't you worry.
Ancestors wouldn't want this, Silas.
Why should I hide from it? This is my family's legacy.
It's the past. Dead oaths on dead lips. Let it stay there.
The museum is opening, Medina.
I beg you, don't go into Silas's museum. Silas comes from one of the oldest families in Dawnstar. They have a complicated history. Several of his ancestors belonged to the Mythic Dawn, the cult that almost destroyed Tamriel. His family's involvement was only found out well after the crisis had died down, but it still ruined their reputation. They were outcasts. And now Silas is back, and this museum to the Mythic Dawn is his way of trying to rebuild his family's pride. It's misguided. Not a student of history, I see. It's for the best. They're a group that should be forgotten. The only thing you need to know is that they almost destroyed the world, and they were stopped a long time ago. That museum is a mistake.
And here comes my first visitor. The Museum of the Mythic Dawn is open, friend. Yes, my collection of artifacts from a group that toppled an empire. Why don't you come in? You can browse the displays and we can talk. I have a job you look perfect for. Let's talk inside. Feel free to look around. Come talk to me when you're ready to discuss that job I mentioned. The tapestries hung here and outside were found in hideouts, where members of the Mythic Dawn would meet and plot. The cult's greatest accomplishment was the assassination of the Septim Dynasty and the opening of the That burned paper is all that remains of the fabled Mysterium Xarxes, the blasphemous book written by Mehrunes Dagon himself. It's said that Mankar Cameron used the book to open a portal to a paradise where all his followers would live forever. Ah, yes. That scabbard. Notice the insignia? An Oblivion Gate. A key symbol of Mehrunes Dagon, the patron Daedra of the Mythic Dawn. The commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes were written by the Mythic Dawn cult leader, Mankar Cameron. He promised a paradise awaited his followers when they died, that they would be reborn by Mehrunes Dagon's side. Did you have any questions about the museum, or would you rather talk business? It's no secret that my family were once members of the Mythic Dawn. One of my forefathers was even chosen to assassinate Uriel Septim himself. We hid from our past for years, became tradesmen, people of coin and influence. But I realized that the Mythic Dawn's importance, our importance, to history cannot be denied. I'll see everyone in Tamriel remember that for a moment, we held the fate of the world in our hands, for good or ill. And here you are. I hope you found the museum to your liking. They were worshippers of Mehrunes Dagon, the Daedric Lord of Destruction and Change. The Mythic Dawn killed Uriel Septim VII and his heirs, triggering the events that led to the Oblivion Crisis when the Daedra invaded Tamriel. All that remains of the infamous cult I've gathered in my museum. Ah, an excellent question. Mehrunes Dagon is the Daedric Lord of Change, Destruction, and Ambition. Dagon's Mythic Dawn cult killed the Septim Dynasty and opened the Oblivion Gates into Tamriel. They called it the Oblivion Crisis. A little history first. After the Oblivion Crisis, a number of groups cropped up dedicated to wiping out the remnants of the Mythic Dawn. One of these groups found Mehrunes' razor, the artifact of Dagon. They split it into 3 fragments and pledged to keep them apart forever. That was almost 150 years ago, and the pieces are still being kept by the descendants of that group, and they're right here, in Skyrim. At least 2 of the owners, Gunzel and Draskua, are dangerous marauders, and the 3rd owner, Jorgen, I only know he lives in Morthal. Here are my notes about them. I'll gladly pay you for getting the pieces any way you can. No questions asked. The razor is Mehrunes Dagon's personal artifact. It has always heralded bloody change and carnage. It's held many names. Dagger of the Final Wounds, Bane of the Righteous, the Kingslayer. The Mythic Dawn worshipped Dagon as a god. Having his razor would be invaluable to my collection. Good luck finding the fragments.
Don't think you can barter with me like I'm one of those stamped shopkeepers.
I mostly deal with petty thievery and drunken brawls. Been too long since we've had a good bandit raid.
What is it? Dragons?
It's a curse. It has to be. I've got to get out of this town.
Irgnir, get a hold of yourself. They're just dreams. Please tell her, Erandur.
Thoring runs the inn. Speak to him.
They are just dreams, my dear. I assure you that it is quite normal.
Need something?
It's the same dream over and over again. You think that's normal? It's evil, I tell you.
Erandur, she has a point. You keep telling us no harm will follow these dreams, but they must be an omen.
Give him a chance to speak. He's trying to help us.
Everyone, please. I'm doing what I can to end these nightmares. In the meantime, all I ask is you remain strong and put your trust in Lady Mara.
I will. Thank you.
The Wind Peak Inn features the finest bard in all of Dawnstar. Me.
I work in the mine just like everyone else.
What troubles you, my daughter? Yes, sirrah? The entire town is being plagued by horrible nightmares. They're in serious danger, but I'm afraid there's little I can do about it.
The ore is getting harder to dig.
You're just getting older.
That's why I come here to talk to you. You're all heart.
These dreams are manifestations created by the Daedric Lord, Vermina. She has an awful hunger for our memories. In return, she leaves behind nightmares, not unlike a cough marks a serious illness. I must end her terrible influence over these people before the damage becomes permanent.
Father, do you want to talk? About Mother?
I need to return to the source of the problem, to Nightcaller Temple.
Sure she would want you to
Perhaps you'd be willing to assist me in that
entertaining guests and
regard.
drinking and making your lewd jokes like before.
I've already said too much. If anyone overhears what we're saying, it could start a panic. I would simply ask that you trust me and help me end Dawnstar's nightmares. Wonderful. My Lady Mara will be quite pleased. Nightcaller Temple is only a short walk from Dawnstar. Come, we must hurry. Vermina resides in a strange realm known as Quagmire, a nightmarish land where reality shifts upon itself in seemingly impossible ways. From her citadel at the center, she reaches forth to collect our memories, leaving nothing in return apart from visions of horror and despair. Who can say? Perhaps she collects them for display like works of art in a nonsensical art gallery. Whatever the case may be, her intentions are far from benevolent. I promise to answer all of your questions. Follow me.
Frost took my husband years ago.
Need a room?
He was a great
Drink for the
man.
thirsty, food for the hungry. All right, then.
My children all grew up and left Dawnstar to make their fortune.
Can't sleep well no matter how much drink I put in me.
Follow me. It's this way. It feels good to finally have a chance to help these people. Helplessly watching them suffer has been difficult. The tower on that hill is our destination. People around here call it the Tower of the Dawn. I'm not familiar with the tower's history, but it was deserted for quite a long time before Nightcaller Temple was established inside. When the temple was active, the priests would rarely be seen in Dawnstar. They preferred to live a solitary existence. The temple's been abandoned for decades now. Ironic, isn't it? A ruin within a ruin. There's a small shrine to Mara I established inside the tower's entry hall. I was hoping to seek spiritual guidance from her. Before we enter, I must warn you about the dangers that could be lurking within. Years ago, this temple was raided by an orc war party seeking revenge. They were being plagued by nightmares, just like the people of Dawnstar. Before we enter, I must warn you about the dangers that could be lurking within. Years ago, This temple was raided by an orc war party seeking revenge. They were being plagued by nightmares, just like the people of Dawnstar. No. Knowing they could never defeat the orcs, the priests of Vermina released what they called the miasma, putting everyone to sleep. I'm concerned that when this place is unsealed, the miasma will dissipate and they'll awaken, both orcs and priests alike. The miasma was created by the priests of Vermina for their rituals. It's a gas that places the affected in a deep sleep. Because the rituals would last for months or even years, the miasma was designed to slow down the aging process. Sadly, yes. The longer an individual is exposed to the miasma, the more the mind can become damaged. Those who've been under the effect of it for extended periods of time have been known to lose their minds entirely. In some cases, a few never awoke at all. Once we get inside, all will become clear.